So hello gamers, ever since they revamped the Micro Uzi and made it a lot better, I kind of wanted to make a video on the conversions on the Uzi because there are now 5 conversions and the default gun, so a total of 7 different ammo types that you can use on both of the guns. So today I'm going to be reviewing all of the Uzi ammo types on both the Micro Uzi and the regular Uzi, so make sure to stick around because yes, there is a shotgun conversion on the Micro Uzi. But yeah, let's start it off with the regular Uzi. Now the regular conversion on the Uzi, this is interesting because it does a little bit more damage than normal and has pretty good multipliers. It has a 1.5 times headshot multiplier and a 1.1 times torso multiplier. It does 35 damage body, so it can probably 2-hit head a little bit, but it shoots a little bit slower. It's kind of like, almost like a UMP 45 in a way, that it's not 45, and like the recoil is weird. It has pretty comparable CQC hits to kill up close, but it has better damage ranges, I guess. It can 3-hit pretty far, especially if you hit torsos, it will extend the 3-hit kill range a little bit. But let's be real, this gun isn't super good. The default ammo type just feels kind of eh. It shoots decently fast, but not super fast, and it 3-hit kills, and like most PWs do that. When you really think about the MP5K/10, it can 2-hit head and 3-hit body, which is basically what this does. It has 900 RPM. But yeah, this one's the boring conversion, the 35 to 18, 600 RPM one. But let's get on to the next one, the 45 conversion. Now you keep your multipliers with the 45 conversion, but you go 38 to 20, which is a lot more comparable to the UMP 45. It has pretty good damage ranges, but it lowers your fire rate a little bit. Let me see how bad this is. Okay, it's not terrible. It also increases your magazine capacity, but you still can't have a +1 because I think this has an open bolt. If you have an open bolt, you can't have a +1 in your gun, which means you can't load a 31st bullet, which normally you can. It also has alt aim. It's like, okay, this feels a little bit more strong. I think it's because it's louder and it shoots a little bit slower. But when you really think about it, the RPM is not very good considering like the damage isn't super good, but you lose a little bit of muzzle velocity, but it's not a big deal. I think the big difference here is probably the RPM loss because the recoil doesn't seem to be that bad. I know it increases your recoil, but since your RPM is lower, it doesn't really matter. Is this a direct upgrade to the gun? I don't know. It's now a 3-shot to a 5-shot instead of a 3 to a 6. And unless you're hitting headshots, even the torso multiplier won't save an 18 damage min. My big problem is probably the RPM here. It's 500. It's just not that fast. If it has the RPM of the M3A1 almost, it better have pretty high damage. And it does have pretty high damage, but the M3A1 does 48 to 25 and this does 38 to 20. Plus you can't use +P with this, which means velocity is probably lower overall since people usually use +P on the M3A1. And by the way, the M3A1 can 2-shot to the body pretty easily. But then you have the 22 LR conversion, which people tell me this is a direct upgrade to the gun, and I don't really agree with that. Your velocity is a little bit lower, actually quite a bit lower, but it's still faster than the 45 conversion. Your damage ranges are okay. Your torso multi stays and you do 25 damage to 50 stud, so a 4-shot to the body, but you have a 3 times headshot multiplier, a very low recoil, and a 50 round drum, and the same reload time. And it's also super quiet considering this is without a suppressor, by the way. And because it has a 3 times headshot multi, it 2 shots to the head, but not all ranges or anything. I mean, is the RPM faster? I can't even tell. Your RPM is not faster, but I mean, it is really accurate. I feel like it should increase your RPM a little bit, but maybe it'd be a little bit too OP, but honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't really feel overpowered. I mean, it does a lot of headshot damage, but here's the problem. It does 1 body damage at range. Okay, it doesn't do 1, but you know, it does really low body damage at range, and I was supposed to be ranking these. Okay, default ammo gets a 6.5 out of 10. 45 gets a 7. Yeah, 7 out of 10. And this, I think it's a 7.5 out of 10 because it's not super good, but if you do hit headshots, it is pretty good up close. It has really low recoil and a very fast reload for 50 rounds. 2.2 seconds. I believe that's faster than the P90, even with Civi Mag, and it has the same bullets as the default P90. I mean, it doesn't shoot that fast, but 15 times 3 is, I think, 45 at range. Holy. Okay, this is actually really good. Is this the best 22 gun? This might literally be the best 22 gun. I remember people being like, you should use the Uzi for a video with 22. And people will always tell me to do something like that, and I'll be like, it can't be that good. It's actually really good. I'm glad it doesn't buff your RPM, but it doesn't nerf it, because now that I think about it, it's actually really good. And if it made your RPM higher, maybe it would be a little bit too good. I feel like, in my opinion, they should probably buff the regular ammo. Both the 45 conversion and the regular aren't that good, but 22 LR is actually decent. So I'll give this one a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's pretty good. I like that it actually has a niche because it does do 45 head all ranges, which is kind of crazy. And the muzzle velocity isn't terrible. And up close, it's not super viable because it does P90 damage, but shoots way slower. 15 damage at range. I know it's bad, but headshot damage wise is actually pretty good. I'm pretty sure they actually buffed this conversion because I don't remember it doing 15 at range. 15 sounds terrible. And it is. It isn't very good at all. But considering like, I'm pretty sure it used to do like 10 or 9. I mean, it's not very good at range, but it's like, it's pretty good at range. It could really be worse. And the muzzle velocity isn't as terrible as I thought it would be. And it's super quiet and very low recoil. I'm just surprised, like, this isn't super good, but I'm just surprised that it's alright. Because here's the thing, like, 22 conversions are generally speaking not that good. Like, they're supposed to be meme type guns. Like, they're not supposed to be good at all. In this case, it's actually good. It's just surprising to me because it's usually not actually viable to use one of these. Like, when you see a 22 conversion, you're like, okay, this isn't going to be that good. But when you gain a ton of headshot damage, you don't actually lose a ton, and you get a 50 round drum. Like, if the Vector 22 LR had like a normal size mag or even like a 50 round drum, it would actually be super viable. And that's why this is viable. It's because it actually has a big mag. I'm assuming it has a ton of reserve because I'm not running out of reserve ever. Okay, how quiet is this thing? Oh my gosh, it's so quiet now. I don't even know if you guys can hear this. The reloading is louder. It's so quiet. Okay, this is awesome. This is like gonna be bad now, but like at least you can hear your hit markers now. Ooh, spooky hit marker. But in my opinion, I'd say this is probably the best conversion on the gun. It's definitely not super good. Like, it's not the best. There are a lot of guns that are better, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. And two-shotting to the head is pretty good. You can actually two-shot with one body, one head. Now that I think about it, that's like MP40 type damage, except like not to the body, like only to the head. But up to 50 studs, unless you're using this because this makes your damage ranges worse, you can kill with one head and one limb. This is actually so viable. Like, it's not super viable, but it's actually way more viable than I thought. But I really prefer this to any conversion I've ever seen on this gun, except the Micro Uzi conversions, because the Micro Uzi like shotgun conversion is so much fun. Which, by the way, I think Stylus actually took my opinions and went, yes, we should actually add that to the game, because I remember talking about how Strike 3 had the worst reserve I've ever seen, and all they needed to do to buff it was just add more reserve ammo. They lowered the headshot multi, which is not a big deal, but they gave it an extra mag of reserve ammo. Yes, they did, which is exactly what I wanted them to do. It's crazy, because like when it was added, I was like, it needs more reserve, and it got more reserve, and I was like, oh yes. I mean, I did say that, but all I'm saying is I probably wasn't the reason for it, but if I was, that would be really cool. Like, just hit headshots, bro. Okay, anyways, on to the Micro Uzi. The Micro Uzi is very cool. This is a pretty cool sight. I mean, the recoil is not going to be good, but like, yes, it has the tunnel thing. That's so cool looking. The new sights that they're adding are actually super cool. Is this a TF2 map? I think this is a TF2 map. What am I using that's making the recoil so bad? I'm already almost out of reserve. Like, what are these spawns? Oh, that was so cool looking. But yeah, lol, just pull down, lol. This thing has a really weird, like, recoil pattern where it's really easy to pull it down, but it has a ton of recoil. It's like M231, but baby, I guess. But yeah, the default ammo on this thing is way better after they buffed it a while ago. They basically gave it a free extended mag that it didn't actually have before. What confuses me about this gun is it's a Micro Uzi, right? So it should have, like, the upsides of the Uzi, but, like, in a micro form, but it doesn't. Because the Uzi is supposed to be... I know that it shouldn't have the same recoil or RPM or something, but, like, the thing about the Uzi is that it has good multipliers and above average in a couple of other stats, but mostly like it has good multis, right? This gun actually has no torso multi and a worse than average headshot multiplier, which kind of just confuses me. Maybe it's for balancing, but I don't really know why. They could have made it do like 33 with a 1.1 times torso multi, so it could only 3 hit if you're hitting torsos. It's like the Uzi in this game is, it has its upsides that are different from other guns. This doesn't have those upsides. It's just weird. I think it gets an 8 out of 10 now because it is one of the most viable machine pistols in the game now. 93R is still better, so is the Tech 9 kind of, and the Glock 18 still has a bigger mag, and the MP 1911 still has like way lower recoil and can two-shot head, so it's not like actually broken, but this is way more viable than it used to be. It looks like they actually changed the 45 conversion on the Uzi as well. Since I talked about it, oh my gosh, they're actually listening to what I'm saying. Before it had a 1.3 headshot multi, and all I wanted from this is for them to wait. Did they buff the RPM too? Please tell me they did. They listened to what I say. They actually listened to what I say. My feedback was to give it a better headshot multiplier and more RPM. Guess what they did? They gave it a better headshot multiplier and more RPM. They also gave it more damage at long range, which is not a big deal because now it can more effectively 4-hit kill, but before it could 4-hit kill anyways. But yeah, this should actually balance it out a lot more. It still has quite a bit of recoil, as you can see, but it's not a big deal, and also now it actually has way more RPM. I could see this being way more viable, and now with this conversion, it has 1.5 times headshot multiplier and 1.05 times torso multi, which makes it more of a Uzi because now it actually has good multis, and that's kind of the thing about the Micro Uzi that was kind of missing. And of course, this is semi-automatic, but it's way more viable now. Definitely going to be more viable for some players than something like the Glock 17. Way better recoil control, way bigger extended mag, you know, crazy 50 cal conversion and stuff. And this has mostly the same hits to kill. It just feels like it does more damage, and I really like that about this gun. I really liked this conversion, and they actually just changed everything. Everything that I said that they should do, they did. It's so nice. But anyways, this one I'm going to give a 7.5 out of 10. Personally, I don't really use a lot of like generic pistols like the Glock 17 and the M9. I use a lot of machine pistols and like the XIX and stuff, which are a little bit different. But I feel like for the generic pistol user, the person who's going to use a normal semi-automatic pistol with like kind of this RPM, this is going to be a really good option. Not the best option. The 1911 is going to beat this thing out in a lot of scenarios, and so is the Glock 17, but like for its niche, it is great. And now we have the Strike 3, which got 60 reserve, exactly like I said. I said maybe it should get 80, but obviously 80 was a little bit of a stretch, and 60 is still really, really good. Now, the thing about the Strike 3 ammo is that it still has a lot of recoil, but as you can see, it's also a shotgun. But now you actually get 3 mags of reserve instead of, you know, killing 2 people and then running out of ammo. Unless I can get a really close guy, this is going to be super unviable, as you can see. It takes a full mag to kill somebody at like more than point blank range. But if you don't kill somebody at point blank range, then you're not going to actually do any damage, because like it just doesn't do that much damage. But for very close, it can technically 2-hit kill. Now that's it's not going to happen often, but it can happen. That's the cool thing. So very point blank range, you do a little bit more damage, and it's also a shotgun. And I'll just show you the spread, okay? This is the spread. It is not good. Like that is point blank range. This is like a little bit farther. As you can see, there is not very good spread here, but it doesn't lose any RPM, and it's a shotgun, and it can technically 2-hit, which is better than what it could do before. But as you can see, it's like very unviable past a certain range, but up close, it is like sort of viable. And that's what I like about it. It's like, it's not super good, but it's like good enough to where it can be fun. It's not going to be like super good to use, but oh, that was a nice flick. And of course, a 90 assist count. As you can see, an entire mag. To be fun, a gun doesn't have to be super good. It's just like you can't really have as much fun if you just run out of bullets in like 1 second, which is why I wanted a little bit more bullets. I'm really happy with all of these ammo types. This one I'm gonna get probably a 6 out of 10. On a scale of 1 to 10 for having fun, this one gets like, I don't know, probably like a 9 out of 10. I have more fun with like a DB shotgun, but like this is still really, really fun. But as you can see, 29 damage. I hit him like 7 times. I'll probably pre-buy this ammo type, and I'll probably use it from time to time. Not super often, but I'll use it. It's not good, but it's fun. Like that, it doesn't have to be good to be fun, you know? In fact, if I do top 5 panic guns again, which I'll put in the top right if I remember to, I'm probably gonna do this one, because this is probably one of the best panic guns. Like, it's not gonna be super good for like normal attacking, normal fights. It's not gonna be like, oh wow, this is such a good gun to use all the time, but it will be fun for very specific scenarios. But yeah, overall, these conversions are great. The new conversions on the Micro Uzi are cool. The conversions on the Uzi are way better than I thought they would be. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please like and sub if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.